How y'all doing? I think I'm on, right? Hey, so this is Josh here with Social Media Breakfast. I'm the board president. Y'all haven't seen me in a little while because I was on leave for a bit. I just had my a son, so yeah, the world sort of went crazy, and my family had some things going on, but all exciting things. We are super. I am super happy to be back with y'all. Y'all never left. We've just been doing this remotely because that's what we do. We find what's working in social media, and we just keep on going. And here we are doing this a couple months in, and looks like we might be doing it for a couple more. So welcome to today's event. Today, you're at a Social Media Breakfast Madison event. I'm going to jump right into the deck and hope that it's following along. Yeah, here we go. So our focus. We're a nonprofit, and we focus on education and networking. So getting together to learn about the most cutting edge things going on in the world of social media and digital marketing, specifically focused around empowering the Madison community. So our networking has had to take different shapes of recently. Obviously, we're not getting together in person the way we used to, but we're still getting together online. We still have our Facebook group, which I'll talk about in a moment. There's still lots of opportunities for us to get together digitally, and we're definitely trying to take full advantage of that. We meet the third Wednesday of each month. So here we are, third Wednesday of the month. And if you would like to get involved and help make sure that keep Social Media Breakfast free, you can become a sponsor of this organization. Head over to smbmad.org for details. If your business is not in a position to do that, but you would like to kick in, we also are always happy to take feel free to kick in at paypal.me/smbmadison. We run completely on, support from our audience. One of the many ways that we empower our community and make sure that we stay on the cutting edge of what's going on in the world of digital marketing is through scholarships. We want to help you get to the place you're trying to get to professionally in the marketing world. Now, going to conferences right now is probably not something that you should be planning towards in the next couple of weeks or months. But if there's something online, we absolutely want to help you get there. So professional development of any kind, including digital conferences, classes. If you want to go take a class someplace, we would like to help pay for it. Head over to smbmad.org/scholarships, and we will we'll see what we can do to help make that possible, to empower the community together. We are a completely volunteer-run organization. Here is our wonderful board. These folks work real hard every month to make these events happen. So shout out to our board. And on exciting news, we have a couple new board members. So Waunakee Thompson is joining our board. She's been involved with the organization for quite some time. She's a content specialist at UW-Madison, Division of Extension. She's been attending Social Media Breakfast since 2016. She used to be our blogger in residence. And fun fact, she loves Ireland and hopes to move there someday. Welcome, Waunakee. And very exciting, we have two new board members we get to introduce. We would also like to introduce Lynn to the board. Lynn is an industry agnostic writer, visual storyteller, and social media practitioner, best described as a word nerd and lifelong learner. Currently, she's plying her trade in the nonprofit healthcare world as a jack of all trades, comms specialist with Access Community Healthcare Centers. Lynn's been attending Social Media Breakfast for 10 years, which is about how long we've been doing this, for those of you counting. And for the past 2, she's been a very regular and loyal volunteer. So we are super pumped to have her join the board. Sadly, while we are picking up 2 new amazing board members, we are also bidding farewell to a very long-time board member, Margie Romani. Margie's still going to be involved in the organization, but she is stepping down from the board at the end of this month. It's really weird and sad for me to have to do this remotely. She's not I can't see her face other than this picture. Margie and I joined the board together 5 years ago, literally at the same time. And she has just been a rock. If you've been coming to Social Media Breakfast for a while, you know who she is. You've seen her around. But she's also somebody who's never really stepped into the limelight. She is the person who has been helping make these events happen, really day in and day out from the back end. And she's going to be greatly missed on our board. If you have not yet gotten a chance to get to know Margie or chat with Margie, I highly recommend you take advantage to do that. She's an awesome person, an awesome marketer, and she was a really great person to work with. So the board's going to send her a little gift after this and whatnot. But yeah, Margie, we really appreciated everything you've done for this organization. Social Media Breakfast, Madison would not be what it is today without your leadership and dedication. So on behalf of all the board and all of the community, I just really want to send a heartfelt thank you. You've been a rock star, and we'll miss having you on our monthly board meetings and what have you. So, okay. Are you looking to get involved with Social Media Breakfast? We are still accepting, 2020 is almost full for speakers, but we do still have 1 or 2 spots left. We are also always accepting sponsors. Like we mentioned, this is a completely sponsor-run organization, supported organization. We also thrive on volunteers. And if your organization, your nonprofit, is interested in a nonprofit spotlight, we love shouting out other great nonprofits in the community. So any of those or anything else you want to talk to us about, head on over to smbmad.org and reach out. We are community driven, and so this doesn't work without us all engaging with each other. On that note of community driven, we have a Facebook group. If you're already a member, you know what's up. If you're not already a member, you should become one today. Just head over to Facebook, search for Social Media Madison Masterminds. There's over 650 people in that group, and it's a space to go to have a conversation about what's happening in digital marketing in the Madison area. Obviously, we bring these events together to sort of like really take it to the next level as far as like what's possible, but once a month is not enough for us to keep that conversation going. And thus, this is where the Facebook group was born. So head on over to Social Media Madison Masterminds, and we'd love to see you in there. We are going to give away a couple things actually this morning. So if you would like to win a Social Media Breakfast Madison coffee mug or a gift certificate to Metcalfes, go ahead and comment, use our hashtag on any of your social platforms, and you'll be entered to win a mug and a gift card to Metcalfes. I'll let Darlene from Metcalfes talk about that, but just use the hashtag. Instagram, Twitter, Instagram stories, Facebook, wherever you're at, use the hashtag, drop it in the comments. We want to hear from you, and we'll just randomly select some folks who commented to get a mug and to get some gift certificates. So. Next month, we will be part of Forward Fest. We've been partnering with them for some time. This event will not be in person, unfortunately. This will be a Facebook Live event, but we're going to have Egan Heath from Get Found Madison join us to talk about why you need a marketing funnel, not a website. I can tell you he spoke at our Forward Fest event 3 years ago, I think it was, and it was a very popular event. We still hear about it from folks. He talked about SEO, and it was just a great event. So this one's going to be just as great. I'm confident in it. So mark your calendar for the 3rd Wednesday of August to join Egan and talk about why you need a marketing funnel. I know I've used the word sponsors like 4 times already, but really, this organization doesn't exist without our amazing sponsors. Our sponsors are what enable this all to keep happening month in and month out. So wherever you're sitting right now, give a quick round of applause to the sponsors, and then go tag them on social and let them know how much you appreciate them. Because really, we love them, and we couldn't do this without them. And just like we couldn't do this without our sponsors, we couldn't do this without our partner creators. They're the ones who make us look, sound, and be great. So another big round of applause for our partner creators, and tag them on social. Let them know you appreciate the work they're doing. So with that, let's go ahead and take a moment to meet some of our partner creators. I'm going to send it over to Andy at DreamBank to say a couple words. Andy, you there?
I'm here, yeah. I guess I got to start talking.
So nothing to wait for. It's all you.
Yeah, good morning, folks. My name is Andy Frisky. I'm sure I know most of you, but for those of you who don't, I work at DreamBank. So a little bit about DreamBank. DreamBank is a free community resource that is put on by American Family Insurance, which is headquartered right here in Madison, Wisconsin. The whole reason why DreamBank exists, though, is to help inspire people to pursue their dreams. And in large part, we do that through the programs that we offer. So typically, when we're not under quarantine, we host 30 to 50 free events a month in our space with a wide range of topics, anything ranging from small business and entrepreneurial workshops. Josh just spoke there a couple weeks ago about Instagram tips and tricks. We also have inspiration, motivational wellness speaker series, family-related events. We really try and cover the gamut and appeal to as many different dreamers as possible. In addition to that, we also function as a drop-in co-working space. So we have a bunch of kiosks and tables and nooks and crannies that you can kind of come in and have a quiet place to work throughout the day. We also have on site an interactive exhibit that typically rotates about 3 times a year. And then folks are actually able to book out the space too, free of charge. Unfortunately, there was an announcement just made by the company sometime last week that none of the corporate offices for American Family Insurance will be opening till at least January 4th. So we will still be closed till about then. We're still going to continue putting on the excellent programming that we have been in the Stay-at-Home Act. So please go ahead and head over to our Facebook page if you haven't yet, facebook.com/DreamBankMSN. We have a ton of different videos up there that we've been putting out too. So thank you much.
Thank you, Andy. We're going to head over to Elise at Powderkeg.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Elise. I'm with Powderkeg Web Design, and I'm sure most of you regulars already know our team specializes in custom website design and development, but we also have tons of digital marketing resources that we like to share with everyone. So the resource I want to highlight this month is an upcoming webinar, which we'll be taking next month in August. So on August 6th, which is a Thursday, we'll be focusing on the importance of accessibility in website design. So that's definitely a pretty big and important topic. So I would highly encourage you to check that out if it's relevant to your organization. You can learn more about that and find all of our other digital marketing resources on our website. Just go to powderkegwebdesign/PKU. So I hope everyone can attend if you're interested in that event and enjoy today's presentation.
Thank you, Elise. I promised there would be giveaways. So let's head over to Darlene and hear more about the about Metcalfes.
Good morning, everyone. We absolutely miss seeing all of you with donuts and cereal bars and all kinds of other fun things. But hopefully you're enjoying some delicious breakfast wherever you are this morning. I am with Metcalfes. We have two locations, independent family-owned grocery. One is over at Hilldale, one's over on the west side, and you can always shop at shopmetcalfes.com. And yes, we are giving away two $25 gift cards today. Like Josh said before, just comment Facebook feed, Instagram, wherever you're watching, hashtag SMBMad, and you'll be entered to win. I do want to talk a little bit about burgers. I realize that's not breakfast food, but hopefully you can all get on board. First of all, Metcalfes has an IGTV series. If you haven't seen it, check us out on Instagram. And we have an Asian turkey burger recipe that just went up today, so kind of a cool thing to do on the grill. And if you have not been out and about for Madison Burger Week, definitely giving a shout out there as well. Metcalfes has a burger out on their page called This Burger is the Worst. So you can imagine that involves a brat. So check that out. It's Madison Burger Week still going on through the 19th, brought to you by Isthmus around here. So definitely comment, hashtag SMBMad. Two $25 gift cards will be coming your way, as well as a chance to win that mug. And I think that Otehlia has a giveaway too. So lots of cool stuff.
Yeah, I figured I'd let Otehlia talk about hers because it's a slightly different rule set, but equally exciting. So yeah, with that, I want to head it over to Hannah, one of our board members, to talk about our nonprofit spotlight of the month.
Good morning, everyone. Even though Social Media Breakfast Madison is a nonprofit ourselves, we like to share the love with other nonprofits as well. So this month's nonprofit spotlight is Badger Prairie Needs Network. They're in their 34th year of serving Southwest Madison and Verona with bi-monthly community meals and classes. Their goal is to fight poverty and end hunger locally. In 2019, they distributed over 750,000 pounds of food, 630,000 meals, and fed about 1,200 individuals each month. Most of the households served had someone working, but they didn't earn enough to make ends meet. The rest were people with disabilities, senior citizens on fixed incomes, and folks who had fallen on tough times or were temporarily unemployed. Nearly half of the people served were children. Since the onset of the pandemic, the need for their programs has increased, and they currently seek monetary donations and personal care item donations. You can learn more at bpnn.org or follow them on Facebook at Badger Prairie Needs Network or on Instagram, Badger_Prairie_Needs_Network. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you. I want to give a quick intro to Otehlia, who's coming on. I'm super excited about our event. About, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, we had a panel with some really cool people talking about like food and social. And one of the big takeaways was that everybody loves what Otehlia is doing. And I will put myself on that list as well. But like, her name just kept coming up, and her company, Madison Eats. And it was from that we were like, oh, we should definitely have Otehlia speak. And of course, this was supposed to happen months ago. It was supposed to happen in person, but that's just not how the world works anymore. So I just want to say that I've been following what she's been doing with Instagram in particular and social in general for a long time. And I'm just like really inspired by it, and I love it. So I'm really excited to have her speak. And yeah, I just wanted to give her some nice words of welcome, because she's not going to get to see all pretty faces looking at her, letting her know you appreciate it. But you should know that we do. We're really excited. And thank you so much for doing this, even under these circumstances. And I'll see you after for some Q&A. So everybody stick around after Otehlia's speaking. But definitely drop any questions you have for her into the Facebook feed, and I'll do my best to pull those together so she can answer them on the other end of this. She will not be monitoring the questions, but I'll pull them for her. So trying to make it as easy as possible for our speakers. So thank you all so much. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Otehlia. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much, Josh. And thank you guys so much for having me on today. I'm very excited to be here to present one of my favorite topics, which is Instagram stories. My kids might say it's an obsession. I call it work. Maybe it's possibly somewhere in between those two. But I'm the owner and founder of Madison Eats Food Tours, and I started the company about almost going on 9 years now to really celebrate my love for food, for travel, and for community. And it's food tours. In case you haven't been on one, I think more people now know what a food tour is than ever before, but food tours are basically walking and tasting, going into several different restaurants and experiencing the food and a little bit of a behind the scenes feel. I also offer culinary vacations to Mexico and Cuba. Obviously, a lot of this has changed, and I'll touch on that a little bit as well, because that does also relate to the stories and my social media presence and tactics that I've had. So what I want to really say about my business is that the single greatest asset that I have are the relationships that I've built with the community that I work in. So that can be business owners, that's people who come on the tours, the team that I have. When I travel, it's those communities that I work in. And without those relationships, I really wouldn't have a business that I could run. Instagram, particularly stories, that's really what I'm going to focus on today, because that's something I feel that has really driven and built the business that I have and has strengthened those connections. And in fact, Instagram, I think, has had a really surprising impact even on having more personal relationships. So some of those virtual connections with other influencers or food people in the community have become personal relationships and even friendships. And it's also been a surprising driver to building just awareness about my brand and to forging new partnerships with people in the community. Let's jump in. I have this nice slow-mo video. This is from one of the guests who went on a culinary vacation to Mexico with us, and he's taking a plunge into a cenote in Mexico, which someday again soon we'll be able to do. So the power of social media, I want to talk about that, the power, especially Instagram stories, to create connections, foster community, and build your brand and business. I think one of the main things that we look for, that I look for on social media when I'm trying to connect with a business or a brand or a person is, do they inspire me? Is their content relatable? And is it something that that I feel that I can connect with? I think for Instagram particularly, there's also an element of fun. We want to do something that feels good, especially right now. Everything feels a little bit heavy and uncertain. So we go to Instagram and we go to our social media platforms to try to feel connected to people, try to feel a little bit lifted up, and to feel inspired. So that's something that I have been trying to bring into my Instagram stories, is just content that's relatable. Sometimes it's more personal, sometimes it's more about my business, and obviously that has changed over the past several months, and again, I will come back to talking about that. I also really want to get into the nuts and bolts. Now, I realize that many of you are social media people, you're marketing people for your business or whatever company that you work for. So you probably also have your tips and tricks and maybe some familiarity with putting together Instagram stories. We're going to walk through it though. I'm going to tell you some things that I've learned, what I have as takeaways tips and tricks, and then ways that you can measure results about how Instagram stories are affecting or impacting your business, who's watching, what they're watching, and that's how you can learn to what kind of content you want to provide. So what I want you to come away with today is really understanding the power of telling stories, how it can build your business, and also how to make stories. So part of making a story is feeling confident and finding your voice, and then also being willing to amplify others' voices. The two main deterrents that I hear when I talk to people about doing stories or why they don't do stories, one is that they don't feel confident being in front of a camera. They don't feel like they have anything really relevant to say, or that what they're going to say isn't very interesting. And I would suggest and emphasize that, encourage you to try, because I think everybody has something to say. It's really just finding the confidence to say it. If you don't feel comfortable though, and you really don't want to be the person on the camera for your brand or your business, I bet there's somebody out there who represents your brand, or who works for you, who loves your brand, who would be willing to be that person for you. The other thing that I hear a lot of people say is, you know, it has to be perfect. It has to have a certain look. I don't know what app to use, what font to use, you know, how to make it look professional. And all of those things I think we need to throw out the window, because what I found, particularly for Instagram stories, is that it doesn't have to be perfect. And in fact, when it's not, it's almost better. It's received more positively. People want to see the real, they want to see who's behind the brand, and they want to see what really the brand really stands for. I think that I think that we use Instagram, I do anyway, to really help us build trust in a business. So a lot of times when I am going to buy something or making a purchasing decision, I'll go to that business's Instagram page and see, do they post stories? What is their feed like? Are they responsive to comments? Do they respond to DMs? So those are some of the reasons why I think it's really important to do Instagram stories, and also not worry that it has to be anything too perfect or too polished. Also, people say it takes a lot of time. It can. It definitely, sometimes for me, takes a lot of time. And I've just made a decision that I want to show up to do it. And so that's part of my job. So what you're going to learn today, we're going to walk through some step-by-step on how to actually create a story. And again, I realize a lot of you probably already have experience with this, but let's try something. And if you already do stories, maybe try something new for you today. We're going to work on some basic and advanced tips, some things that I've learned, and then learn how to read and measure our insights, and just have fun with it. It's early this morning. I know you guys are just getting up. You're probably in your, actually, maybe if you're in your pajamas, we could do a pajama story or something like that. Let's just have a little fun and play around with Instagram today. Again, I will touch on Facebook as well. Mostly though, I want to talk about Instagram stories because I feel like that's what I've heard and gotten feedback about from people that they've really enjoyed about my social media. Why Instagram? Well, I think Instagram has an element of fun and play. The captions can be really fun in your feed. People we don't get so derailed by comments. I feel like in Facebook, you can get on a whole tangent. You can get pretty derailed in the comment section. And personally, I don't feel like I'm witty enough for Twitter. So I really focused on Instagram. It's visual. Obviously, when you have an account or a business that's related to something that's already beautiful visually, it helps. Food, travel, crafts, things like that come to mind. But I think that anything that you represent as a business can have a great aesthetic and can be laid out on Instagram in a really pretty way. One little thing, I just took a screenshot of a sort of more recent portion of my Instagram feed. And I just wanted to mention this because this was really helpful for me. I learned this at a webinar, I don't know, a couple years back, that one of the ways you can think about your Instagram feed is think about 3 or 4 things that you want to represent as a business. So for example, for Madison Eats, what I want to convey is that we do food and we have fun and it's about community. So when I think about doing my feed, I try to rotate through those themes. So food, fun, community, and then also sometimes I put pictures of myself in there so people know who's behind the brand, and also see what we do and what I do as the owner of the company. And again, if you think that your brand isn't particularly interesting, maybe, I don't know, I was trying to think of something that's not very interesting, like maybe you sell, stuff at a hardware store or something. I still believe that there is something visually pleasing and aesthetic and fun about your brand, and you can bring it to life on Instagram. Instagram I also really like because it's very multifaceted. There's so many ways you can engage your followers and promote your brand and build your brand and business. You have the feed, which is what you see on the screen here. Then there's IGTV. IGTV are Instagram videos that live on your Instagram account, and those are fun. You can make those videos just on your phone and upload them, or you can go live, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later. You can go live and then save those videos to IGTV as well. Stories. Stories are, they're another fun way to engage people with your brand, which is what we'll be working on today, and then lives. So going live, and more people have been doing that since COVID, and I have as well, and I'll talk a little bit about that later too. I have this kind of philosophy for my own brand where I say my feed is my most professional face of my business for Instagram. My stories are a little more relaxed. You get a little bit of the personal side, a little bit of the, what we do behind the scenes, and then lives can be a little bit off the hook. Sometimes, there's whatever, cussing happens, and you never know what's gonna happen because it's live, right? So that kind of that's fun, and that's the way I think about it for Madison Eats. So really the main thing is that stories do give you that opportunity to see and to show who's behind the brand. And I think that's really key for building trust in your brand and business. So as Josh mentioned, when we first talked about doing this presentation, it was back in the winter time, and a few things have changed since then, one being COVID. And I wanted to bring this up, obviously, because it's impacted everybody on some level. And when I started doing my stories, when I started doing stories back in 2017, it was about taking people behind the scenes on a tour. So I got to take them to the restaurants with the group. They could see what we eat. They could see how the group was having fun. They got to meet the guides. And I could also take them into restaurants when I went out to eat. I could take them into new places that I was discovering around Madison. And that was really what I was promoting. I was working on promoting Madison's food community and my business. Sometimes I would also take people into my kitchen to cook. And over time, I became more comfortable sharing more personal aspects of my life with people. So there was more of me like dancing in the kitchen, or my, going to dance class on Sundays, or hiking, whatever I was doing aside from running my business. Well, COVID hits and we're all affected by this. And literally my business came to a grinding halt, and all of the businesses that I partner with did as well. It was really difficult, still is. And I had to figure out, what was I going to put out on social media? I'm not running my tours anymore. The restaurants that I work with are closed, and you can't go shopping and can't go out and hang out with my friends and have drinks anymore. So it was a really important time for me to reflect on what I really do as a business and how I could continue to do that even when this was happening, even when I couldn't really run my business. So some of the things that I started to do, because what I realized is that if the restaurants aren't open, I can't run my tours, right? So what I focused on doing over these past several months is promoting the restaurants and what they were doing. Takeout, if they were running specials, if their hours were changing, and also trying to connect people with other food producers in the community, other small businesses, people who just needed support and help so they wouldn't shut down. And obviously, I spent more time in my house, so I started to do more cooking, like a lot of us, although I think instead of doing the sourdough bread, I went more for cocktail making. So there's a lot of me making cocktails on Instagram. And just, I became a little bit more comfortable taking people into other parts of my home. So I had always really limited it to cooking in the kitchen. Well, the other day I was like doing a hair curling tutorial in my bathroom. So those are a sign of the times that we're in. But the idea still with the stories was to stay connected to people and to keep my business out there, right? I wanted to make sure that my brand and my business stayed relevant when I couldn't operate. The other thing that I started doing during COVID are lives. And I did lives. The thing I like about Instagram Live is that you can have somebody join you. So I started asking people in the community, people in the food community, chefs and friends that cook, to join me to cook and do demos on Instagram Live. And that was a really fun way. For me, actually, it was kind of like necessary for me to feel connected to people and not to feel so alone. But also it was a fun way I found that people really resonated and they enjoyed seeing, they enjoy seeing you live and what you're doing. It helps us all to feel more connected. Fast forward to the end of May, and we're engaged in one of the largest civil rights movements of our time. And the Black Lives Matter movement really called on businesses to show up, right? Especially as a white-owned business, we were called on to be allies, to be anti-racist, to be transparent, and to do the work. And this was something that my team and I spent a lot of time talking about. We had to ask ourselves, and I had to ask myself, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough as a business? Am I doing enough on social media to support the Black businesses and our Black community? And the answer is obviously no. And it was an opportunity for me to look at how I can do better and how I can support our Black community better, Black-owned businesses and businesses owned by people of color in our community. I really made an effort and started to think about how can I create content that supports businesses that I don't work with, Black-owned businesses that I don't work with, but also how can I work with more Black-owned businesses? How can I let them tell their own stories on my platform? And how can I use my platform to support those communities and businesses better? You can read, I ended up writing a blog because I wanted to be really specific about what we're doing now, what we are doing in the near future, and what our long-term goals are to support our Black community. You can read that on the blog. If you want to read all of the different things that we're working toward doing, you can read that on MadisonEatsFoodTours.com on our blog. Both COVID and Black Lives Matter, in both of those times, I felt very uncomfortable. Both of them were situations where I didn't feel, comfortable with the content that I had been providing. I also just personally felt, like it was both of them were very difficult situations on a personal level. And I believe that when you are uncomfortable, you're growing. So in the same manner, when you are learning how to do social media stories, or maybe you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable being on video, you are growing, and that's something we all need to be doing. So let's get into creating a story for Instagram. First, I want to talk about the do's and don'ts, and I realize I put do's and don'ts, but when I read this list, mostly it's do's. This is what I believe makes a fun and engaging and relevant story. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be fancy. A lot of times I'm just talking as I'm walking around my house or as I'm walking down the street. It doesn't have to be glossy. You don't need any apps at all to make a story. Be authentic. Be yourself. That's what people want to see behind your brand and your business, is just who you are, who's representing and who's running your brand. Vary your content and style. This is something I think about. When I think about what to put on a story, I think about watching other stories. What stories do I watch when I'm on Instagram? If one person, this is just an example, if one person is talking for many, many, many story segments and they aren't changing their, where they're sitting or standing, they there's no text, so I don't even know what the subject is about that they're talking about, I'm likely to swipe to the next story. So what I like to do is just vary it up, move around the house, do different things, and also using the stickers to help get people engaged in the story. So this is just a screenshot of a story that I did last week where I was talking about growing up with no junk food, and it was surprising how many people could relate to me. Use the text, use the filters, use the stickers, play around with it. The one thing that I use a little bit less often is the question box, because I find that I get a ton of different bot responses, and that's kind of annoying sometimes. And really, it just does not have to be perfect. And take us behind the scenes. Let us see who you are, what you do, and what you do outside of your work if you're comfortable with that. All right, this is the moment where we are going to work together on a story. Now, like I said, I know a lot of you already do stories. So if you're comfortable doing stories and this is something that you have, that you feel you're pretty good at, why don't you try something different? Try something that you don't normally do on a story. Also, I know that there are going to be questions, or I assume that there'll be some questions. So if you know that you already have questions about stories, I would ask that you put those into the comments now. I think that I'm not sure if they're able to share any of those questions with me while we're walking through this, but if there's something that's super relevant or pertinent to making an actual story that you have a question to, they have a question about, then I'd like to be able to answer that. Otherwise, we'll just take the questions at the end. And this is where I'm going to also talk about our giveaway that I just thought of. When they said they were doing giveaways, I didn't want to miss out on being part of the giveaways. So when we get down to number 5, I'm going to tell you what the giveaway is. All right. So let's open Instagram. I'm going to do this with you guys. I'm going to make a story. So when you go to Instagram, you're going to open it. And if you go to your home screen, which is the little home icon on the lower left, I'm going real basic here. So if you already know all this, then just carry on. You're going to go up to where you see the circle icons for the stories. And there's a little camera icon above your profile picture. So tap on that, and your camera is now open. So here's where you can have fun. You can go live if you want to right now. You can create an image. You can just go to a photo, although sometimes I actually use this a lot when I'm doing video. I just hold down on the photo button and then it makes a video. You can do a boomerang. Boomerangs are kind of fun. They're really good for kind of like being silly. Layout, I actually haven't used this one, but I think you can take multiple pictures and lay them out. Super zoom, there's lots of fun filters. And then hands-free. So sometimes if I'm doing like a cooking video, I will put it on hands-free. And then it records 4 segments that are, I don't remember how long they are each, maybe 15 seconds or something like that. The other thing you can do is actually you can take photos and video on your camera roll and upload them to your story as well. If you're going to do that, when you get to your story, you see the lower left hand, there's like a gallery box. That's going to take you to your phone's camera and video gallery. So then you can upload from there as well. All right, so let's try something. I am going to just do a little segment. Oh, and I'm going to do it front facing, but you don't have to. Hey guys, we're here practicing how to do stories on Instagram, and I'm so excited to see what you guys come up with. This is my very messy table. I shoved everything to the side so that, you won't see it, but now you saw it. Okay. So if I want to post this later, which I'm going to do because I'm going to walk you guys through the rest of this, you can use the down arrow button that's next to the X. So the X will just delete what you just did, but if you go just next to that, you can press the down arrow, and that's going to save it to your camera roll so you can post it later. That's kind of good if you're trying to do something and you're not sure that the content that you're like, oh, should I post that? Should I not post that? So you can always save it and post it later. Then you can add things like stickers. I love the stickers because there's tons that you can do with those. So I'm going to go, that's next to the link button. This is where you pull up this screen. So and Instagram is weird. Some accounts don't have the same, not every account has the same stickers and things that you can do. Like mine has a thing where you can trim the video, but I noticed I was doing a takeover on Edible Madison and they didn't have that option. For the longest time, I did not have music. Now I have music, so you might not have everything. My Instagram just went down, so luckily. Anyway, so once you do your story, then you can go to your sticker and you can add a GIF if you want to. You can tell people what day it is because we're all forgetting what day it is right now. You know, oh, it's 71 degrees outside. I didn't know that. So whatever you want to tell people. You can also promote things like supporting a small business. Right now, we need to do that. You can tag a business. You can do all kinds of things with those stickers. So play around. I'm going to give you guys just a minute to do that. And here's what I'm going to tell you while you're doing that. I'm going to tell you about the giveaway. So when you post your story or your story segment, tag at Madison Eats and at SMBMAD. From those people who tag us on Instagram, I'm going to pick one winner and you will win our next collaboration bag with Christine's Kitchens. So just for 1 second, I'm going to tell you, because as you know, we are not able to run tours right now. I did have one private event, which was amazing, but we have been working with Christine's Kitchens to pull together a collaboration bag. It's not a meal kit and it's not just a gift bag. It's sort of like a meal bag with very low to minimal prep. And it's supporting lots of different local food businesses that Christine from Slide works with. And one of the action steps that we took as a business is that in each bag, we're going to support at least 3 businesses owned by people of color, and at least 2 of those are Black-owned businesses. Our next bag I'm very excited about. Our next collaboration bag is going to be like an adult summer camp theme, and I don't have all of the details of what's going to be in there yet, but there will be a cocktail kit and there will be s'mores and all kinds of other yummy foods in there. So I'm going to pick one person from whoever tags me and Social Media Breakfast on their story and randomly select one of you guys to be the winner of our next collaboration bag. I think the delivery will be towards the end of July. So I'll let you know about that. All right, so I'm gonna assume that you guys have done your little story segment now. You've added some text, you've had some fun with it. Maybe you've been uncomfortable, and that is great. That means you're growing and learning like I am today. Post it to your story. You can always delete it later. And in fact, it will come down 24 hours. It won't show up on your story 24 hours after you post it. However, usually it's in your archives. You can have the stories saved to your archives. And anyway, you can always find your stories. Nothing you put on social media is gone forever. Let's just put it that way. All right, guys, you got this. I look forward to seeing what you've done today. So one thing I want to touch base on also is to check in on how it went for you, how to check those metrics and your engagement in your stories. We can talk about that in the feed as well. I think I have that on the next slide. So you won't, if you don't have stories and you don't normally do stories, you won't be able to see the metrics right away, but give it some time. And then when you want to check your metrics, what you're going to do is go to your story, which is the circle icon that you have on your homepage with your profile picture. You're going to click on that to see your stories, and then you just swipe up. When you swipe up, you're going to see a screen like this. So what you can see is if you tap on where it has a little eye icon and the number, like there, I had 745 people watch the story. You tap on that, you can see everybody who's watched your story. And you can also see, if you go to the insights, which are the bars, then you can see what actions people took from those stories. You can also see how many people, impressions is basically how many people your story got in front of. You can see if people went back, if they went forward, if they swiped away from your story. So you get to kind of get an idea of what people are enjoying seeing and when they're leaving your story. You also have an opportunity to save your story. You can save it to highlights. You can create highlights on your home page. So if you want to create a highlight, if you want to create a highlight, you are going to go to your profile picture on the bottom right of your Instagram page. That's where you see your profile. And when you go there, you can see the highlights and you can create a highlight from your story. Again, story will disappear after 24 hours, but not really. Another way to engage community and build your brand on Instagram, or some other ways to do that, are takeovers. If you go onto an account, and you can do that, ideally you're working with an account that has more followers than you. You go onto their account, people on their account see you and follow you. Or if they come onto your account, they bring their followers with them and point them toward your account. And some people do it where they do a takeover and they tag the business that they want to have post their story. And then that story can be reshared by that account. Or the other way to do it is actually to give that person login information. They log in onto your account and create a story. Going live with somebody else, as I mentioned, it's been really fun, and it's definitely a lot of work. I remember Chelsea DeQuain was talking about this on a presentation last week with DreamBank, and it is a lot of work to set up the lives. And I used to do them about 3 times a week. I'm down to like maybe once every 2 weeks, but it's really fun. And I try to do something where we're actually engaged in something that people can join us in doing. So here I was making hamburger buns with Brian Winsenreed from Stella's Bakery. So whatever is going to be fun for you, whatever you can share with people. You get about an hour, you get exactly an hour, and then Instagram shuts off your live. And the fun thing with lives is that now you can save them to IGTV. Instagram actually just added the feature where you can type in the title before you go live, which is amazing because otherwise you were typing in the title while you were going live. And then also you can save it to, you can either save it to IGTV or you can do a preview on your feed. And what they've also added, which I like, is that you can add a cover photo to your IGTV. So that's really important if you're trying to keep a certain aesthetic. And I've even done it where I finished my live. For example, if I was making a cocktail, I finished the live, I took a picture on my phone of that cocktail, and then I uploaded it while I still had that screen open to do a preview of my IGTV. And then you have the aesthetic that you want on your feed, and you have the video. And video content obviously is always good content to have on your social media. Don't forget, this is about community. We're building your brand by building other people's brands, right? We lift ourselves up by lifting other people up. So go to other people's feeds, stories, post, share, like, comment. It is a job. It's a full-time job. And most importantly, be authentic. I have decided, I've talked to different marketing people, and I will have people help me with all kinds of things, from building my website, doing my accounting, writing blog posts, but my social media is about me. I'm the representative of my brand. I know what I believe about my brand and what I want to convey to people and what I want to share with people. So be authentic, be you, or find somebody who you feel really represents your business and what you do. Some other stats and metrics. So I'm talking now about the feed rather than the stories. And again, about Instagram, you can go to your insights, which if you go to your Instagram account, your profile, on your profile, you tap on your profile picture on the bottom of your Instagram screen. You'll see in the upper right-hand corner the bars. When you go there, you can click on Insights. It's like a little hamburger menu, is that what they call it, I think. You can go to your insights, and then you can see who's watching your stories, where they live. You can see what times of day, what days of the week, how many likes each post is getting, what content is getting the most likes or impressions or views. And this is actually really important for a lot of reasons. Obviously, you want to know what content people are connecting with. And you can see here, this is my the feed that got, the pictures that got in front of the most people over the past year. So I can see that and see what people like. People like tacos. People like tacos. They also like pictures. There's a lot of pictures of me, I think, because I represent my brand, cheese boards and cheese curds. So tacos and cheese, guys. That's what you want to put on your Instagram feed. And if you sell like hardware, just, I don't know, put some nails around it or something. It also helps to know what time of day people are watching your feed. You want to post when people are watching your feed. So if you go to activity, that's where you can see what days of the week people are watching your Instagram stories, and you can post at times and on days when most people are engaged in your account. there's a lot more to it too. So you ask questions, put those questions in that Facebook comments so we can get to them. Facebook versus Instagram, I'm just going to touch really briefly on this. I have found Facebook very helpful for actual direct purchases. So if I list an event, that's where I'm going to sell some tickets aside from just Google searching on my website. I also have run ads on Facebook that have been effective. And so that's, it's a slightly different audience, obviously an older audience than Instagram. So Instagram, the audience ranges for me mostly between 25 and 45 years old. I don't use ads. I just don't like it. I don't want to promote my business that way on Instagram. I want to promote it authentically. That's just me. And also what I found, and this has been not what I expected or anticipated, is that through Instagram, I built my brand and my business by connections and networking rather than by by direct sales. So it's been really great for getting my name out there, my brand and my business out there, and for people to gain trust in what we do. That brings us to the end of this presentation. There is so much more. There's a lot I don't even know about Instagram. I'm still learning stuff. There's always a change in like the number of hashtags you can use and the algorithms. And when you have over 10,000 followers, you can do the swipe up feature. I don't have that. I'm working on it. Right now, this is what I have to share with you guys. It's been something that's been really fun for me. It's been a great way for me to engage my community, learn about my community, build my brand. And I would like to thank you guys so much for being here today. I really miss it being in person. I miss connecting and seeing everybody in person. But until we can do that, we're doing it this way, staying connected here and hopefully on Instagram. So be sure to follow Madison Eats, follow Social Media Breakfast on Instagram. I have the hashtags and the account tags there. And now we have some time for questions. So my main one being, when do I get to travel again, Josh?
You can travel digitally anytime you would like, Otehlia.
Exactly.
Take a tour of any museum in the world through Facebook Live, right?
Right.
So first off, thank you so much. Trust me, as somebody who does this kind of stuff, it's always weird to talk to your audience and not be able to see them, but I can tell you they were super engaged online. Okay. Tons of Facebook comments, tons of Instagram posts. Okay. So the folks were listening, so like feel good, like you had them throughout the entire time. And we've got some questions, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask a couple questions on our audience's behalf. So Ash wants to know, how often should, and real quick reminder, y'all, comments on Facebook and using our hashtag or tagging us on social, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram stories, all get you entered into a drawing to win a coffee mug and 2 gift certificates from Metcalfes. So I'll just throw that out. We won't pull those numbers until we're completely finished. So you got a little bit more time to do those posts. Ash wants to know how often you should post.
Ooh. I think when we're talking about stories, so I think stories are really important, and it's important to keep them going. I mean, that's just me. There's some people who don't want to post stories all the time. I try to post between 8 to 20 a day. And that's why I'm saying for it to be, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like that thing I just did right now, I'll post that. And that was me just talking randomly and showing my messy table. So it doesn't have to be a really laborious process to post a story, but I think having it out there is really important. I think people want to see consistency, and that's one thing I've heard that people really like about my account is that there's a consistency. Like I'm showing up every day, even if that day I don't have much to share with people. Yeah. For feed, it's a little bit different. People have different, I post less on my feed than I used to. I probably post now once every 2 to 3 days. I used to try to be consistent every day, and I don't do that anymore. And I haven't found that that's really shifted my followers. I'm still getting more followers, and I haven't, that hasn't changed that.
Sure. Darlene would like to know how you measure success for Instagram stories. What's your metrics?
That's a great question. When people tell me that when people respond to my stories, for me, that's a measure of success. When people say, I went to this place that you told me about and I loved it, thank you for sharing, that is, for me, the biggest success I can have. So I would have to say that people have engaged with me on social media, that they've responded, and that maybe I've opened up something that they didn't know about, but also maybe they're telling me something that I didn't know about. So they might say, oh, have you tried this new place? Or have you been to this place to try their food? And it's someplace I haven't been. For me, that's success.
Yeah. So Lauren wanted to know about the settings. You were referring to some different settings. Could you just talk briefly about the difference between personal and business accounts?
Okay, so, and that's interesting too. I do have a personal account. I never use it. I think I started taking pictures of my kids like way back when, and then now I'm doing so much like with Madison Eats. This is a personal decision for me. When I was talking about personal versus professional, that's just a way that I operate. I'm not really shy about who I am, what I stand for. My life. Obviously, there are aspects of my life that are very private that I'm not sharing on social media, but I have decided, or it's just what comes to me, I guess, that I am comfortable sharing aspects of my personal life on my professional and business page. And that might mean cooking with you guys in my kitchen. That might mean dancing around in my living room, showing you my workout, showing you how, like I said, how, whatever, I did my hair, where I got some, cool new item of clothing. Sometimes my kids don't like to be on Instagram anymore at all, but every once in a while, show something I'm doing with my kids. I did have this, I will just say this really quickly, that I was actually looking at having a marketing company help me with some marketing stuff. And they had suggested that my Instagram stories and feed were too personal. But I've had so many people
so you're saying
tell
you
me
didn't move forward with them.
I did not, because I felt that more people actually told me that they resonated with my business because it is personal.
Yeah, you can't replicate like the personality behind the brand, right? No,
Right.
But just out of curiosity, because there was a couple other comments on it, so the context might have been lost. There are actually like difference in settings, right? Like you have to have a business. You have to switch your personal account to a business account in order to like get access to analytics. I think that's again. I might not have given you the word for word question, but is that something like recommendation?
You know what?
Or thoughts on?
I don't actually know about that. That's a good point.
Go to your settings.
I'm learning.
Make yourself a business setting, and you get analytics. That's the
So if you're a business account, make sure you're running it as a business account. So that you get access to the features of a business account. Yeah. So Madison Eats is a business account.
Right. Rowan would like to know how you do multiple stories. I assume she means like at once. Is that something that you work with at all?
Multiple stories at once. Like what? I'm trying to figure out what that might mean.
So I've seen that it's a newer feature-ish where if you're doing video, it used to be after 15 seconds, you had to stop and post.
Right.
And now you can just hold your finger down and it'll keep recording. Do you ever do things like that, or you always just do the 15-second stop, do the 15-second stop?
Yeah, I do. So I do multiple segments at once. Like you said, with the video, you can get, I think, a minute now. You get 4 segments out of each. So if you use the Instagram like hands-free, or you hold down that button for the camera, you can do a minute worth of video. It'll show up as 4 clips. You can delete them. You could save them for later. You can use one of the, 2 of the. Sometimes I've taken 4 clips and used one of them. The other thing you can do is, if you do just take a long video on your camera, you can upload that and it'll show up as segments. So you can actually use your own video on your phone to create longer stories, and you can edit them. It takes a little more time that way, but you can edit them down and get the clips exactly the way you want. If you have the slider feature where it lets you trim when you're uploading it to stories, that was amazing. I was like, thank you, Instagram. That's been super helpful, but I know not every account has that. I hope that answered the question.
I assume it did, but I'll let Rowan tell you if it didn't.
Okay.
But yeah, a couple more questions, and then we'll let everybody get back to work.
Yeah, and also, Josh, I just want to let them know they can certainly. I'm always answering my DMs. So if people have any other questions, please, I want them to feel free to DM me. It's never a bother. It's always a pleasure to be able to connect with people.
That's sort of the point, right, of this whole thing. Is like you're
exactly.
So folks should feel free to reach out. And the best way to reach you, obviously, on Instagram is Madison Eats, not your personal account with your kids.
Yes, which I don't even know what it is. So yes.
I'll give you a couple more questions we got. Okay, Corinne wanted to know, for social strategy, do you plan stories first or feed first?
Ooh, okay, I'm going to say I guess feed would have to be my answer, because I know that I have a theme. Like I mentioned before, I want to provide content about food, fun, and community. So I try to do 2 pictures that are food and then 1 of people. So that's kind of although it's gotten a little bit off of that lately, but it's still basically that. So I would say that's as far as I go with planning. I do not have a social media calendar. It's very like, oh my God, today, I went to Fairchild the other day and I'm like, oh, they're open Wednesday through Sunday. So today I'm going to post about my thing to Fairchild. I just thought of that yesterday. So that's kind of how I work with that. Stories, I don't plan anything unless I know that I'm going somewhere I want to promote or I have been asked to help promote another business. Otherwise, it's super random. Whatever I'm feeling.
Yeah, cool. Lynn wants to know how you convince decision makers to jump on board with stories.
Oh, like if you work for a company and you're not in charge of their social media?
I mean, or I could see it being like just it's such a raw medium. Like, how do you get folks to like get comfortable with it, which you sort of talked about? But yeah, if you want to just reiterate some of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the main thing that I would say is it is such a great way to build trust, for people to build trust in your brand and for you to convey who's behind your brand. Obviously, it does not have to be as personal as I make mine. I'm thinking about like, actually it's funny that Darlene was on here because I was thinking this morning about what are some like more businesses that I think do really great on social media where they might not otherwise be really strong on social media. And I think for a grocery store, I think they do great content because sometimes you see Tim Metcalfe on there talking about what's happening on his story. So you still get to see what's behind the brand, but he's standing in the middle of his grocery store. And for me, that's really important. I'm like, they're standing up for what, I know what they stand for. I've learned more about their business. I know they're a family business, and that's going to help me to make a decision to support them.
Do you do any weekly features to keep your followers coming back on a certain day and time?
Oh, Josh, we talked about this. Remember? You were like, what if you do a live? Is this your question? No,
that one's not. It came in on the comments.
Oh, you guys, I want to. I mean, that's like in my dreams. I'm every Wednesday at 7. I think it's great. Andrea from Square Wine is amazing.
Don't do Wednesdays at 7. That's social media breakfast.
Right. No, I meant 7 at night. Andrea from Square Wine has started doing wine tastings at 5 o'clock, 3 days a week. She shows up 5 o'clock, 3 days a week and tastes wine. I am blown away and it's amazing. I'm really bad at that. I would like to be better. I think it's good to do that, but I'm not that great at it.
You just can't commit to drinking wine 3 days a week?
That's not the
problem. I have one quick question for you. You just mentioned Metcalfes. Are there any other local social channels that you find? You mentioned finding inspiration from other accounts. Like anybody else local you think's just like doing really cool, interesting things?
Oh, there's so many. I think it's been really fun to see, Sue Hay is 5 Senses Palette. She's a friend of mine, actually one of those people that I met through Instagram and now we're really good friends. But her feed has really developed in a way, and her stories have developed where now she does like these time lapses of her cooking and plating food, and it's really fun to watch.
What's her handle? Do you know? Her
handle is at 5 Senses Palette.
5 Senses Palette?
Yeah, like 5 senses.
Got it.
Who else do I enjoy?
Chelsea, you were saying?
What's that?
You were saying Chelsea DeQuinn?
Chelsea DeQuinn. I mentioned that she's moving away from Isthmus, but she's been doing great live videos on for Isthmus. I'm sure she's going to cap times. I'm sure she's going to be continuing that there. There's anyway, I guess those are 2. I don't know how much time we have. But,
we got one more question. Odessa wants to know, we're going to go out with a big one. In this time of COVID and pandemic and quarantine, where do you go to pick up Bloody Mary?
Oh, I think
what's
people
your
are
favorite
doing
recipe for Bloody Marys that you can share for folks on this bright and early Wednesday morning?
Odessa, I know you were trying to get in on that Bloody Mary early. So I would say, okay, I'm going to give you 2 ideas, because I'm actually not a huge Bloody Mary fan, but a lot of restaurants are doing cocktail kits. And I believe Tex Tubbs has a Bloody Mary cocktail kit. Probably I would check around like Canteen, Lucille, all those other places doing cocktail kits and see what they have. I also, you know who else does a great Bloody Mary is Old Sugar Distillery. So you could look there. I don't know if they have a recipe or they have a kit for it, but they definitely do a good Bloody Mary.
I can tell you, since you mentioned Old Sugar, we're big fans. We bought a kit from them a while ago. It was 2 bottles of liquor, 2 bottles of cider, 2 bottles of hand sanitizer that they made in-house, and 2 masks that they were just selling in like a socially distanced, safe way. You bought it online and got a 5-minute window to come pick it up. And we still have the hand sanitizer. We no longer have the liquor.
Right? No surprise.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This was super fun. You should definitely go read the Facebook comments. There's a whole lot of really nice things in there. Obviously, you'll reach out directly to whoever won your giveaway. Is that correct?
Yeah, so let's have the giveaway go to basically by 5 o'clock tonight. I'm going to cut off the story tags. And so by 5 o'clock tonight, post your story, tag. It only has to be 1 segment. It can be more. Tag myself and Social Media Breakfast, and I'll pick a winner for our next collaboration bag with Christine's Kitchens.
Sweet. And we'll reach out to the winners for the Metcalfes giveaways and the coffee mug. Thank you all so much for showing up on a Wednesday morning. Wish we could do it in person, but if we can't, this is the next best thing. And a huge thank you to Otehlia, to all our sponsors, to all our partners, and to all of you for making this community worthwhile. If you haven't already, go join us in our Facebook group, Social Media Madison Masterminds, and let's keep the conversation going. Thank you all, and I'll see y'all next time. Take care.